Back here on Sportsline on News Channel 5 Plus, having fun with my man Johnny Impact from Impact Wrestling. Of course, the big homecoming show coming up January 6th. It's on pay-per-view, but if you're in the Nashville area, you can still get a ticket. An opportunity for you to see a great live wrestling card, a big-time pay-per-view, one of the best wrestling companies in the world, featuring this guy, Johnny Impact, going up against the machine, the weapon, Brian Cage.
If you're there in person, you should probably think of all kinds of funny things to say to Brian Cage. Give him crap about his meal prep, his mohawk, learn how to do the Terminator clap. Everyone does that when he walks out. And maybe learn the names of some of Johnny Impact's moves.
Well, I'll tell you what, your finish, the Starship Pain, how did you come up with that? And I mean, I pop for it every time I see it, and I haven't seen it for over a decade now.
Man, I appreciate that.
I know it's a split-legged moonsault with a little twist thing in there. Like,
it's a combo.
How did you come up with that?
That's exactly it. It's a combo of two things. When I was at OVW, the first thing I started using as a top rope finisher was the Yang Time moonsault, basically a corkscrew moonsault.
Yep.
And I'd always been a fan of RVD's split leg moonsault.
Oh yeah.
But I never wanted to be the guy that just like knocked off someone else's move. So
sure.
I didn't want to just do a split leg. I wanted to do something and make it my own. And the first time I tried to hit the Starship Pain, the split leg full twist, I nailed it perfectly. And I'd been practicing both of those skills independently. And when I hit it, the guys that were in the ring watching, like Joey, Seth Skyfire was there, and Mac Johnson, everyone kind of right away was like, oh, that's something.
Hey, and when you can pop the boys, I mean, that means you're doing something, right?
Yeah. And I think sometimes that's the best place to come up with moves. When everyone's in a good mood. And it's not like people are like goofing around.
Right.
The guys are playing, but like I do that now at Impact with Phoenix, for example.
Yeah.
He's doing like a million different kinds of springboards and sharpening his rope skills.
Right.
And it usually motivates me to like try to get in there and do some of the same kind of thing. And inevitably, a day of playing on the ropes with Phoenix, I think of a couple of options and combos and springboards that I had never hit before. And he can do everything, so he doesn't need everything.
Seriously, folks, if you haven't seen his finishing move, the Starship Pain, it's really one of the best finishes in all professional wrestling.
And if you come to Homecoming on January 6th, there's a good chance you're going to see Starship Pain land on Brian Cage's face. Hey, I've seen a lot of stuff posted around here about Smashville.
Yeah.
Is that what the Predators call it?
That's right. We call it Smashville. Bridgestone Arena is also known as Smashville because that's where they like to smash their opponents, and so, yeah.
I was talking about turning Brian Cage's face into Smashville before I even got to the Bridgestone Arena. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, man. This is a good city.
It's good synergy, right?
Yeah,
you're going to be in the right place. All right, obviously Brian Cage is going to be a tough opponent for you on January 6th.
Here's something else that I mentioned before we started. I recently got married.
Congratulations.
Just 4 months ago. Kira.
Sorry, ladies, he's off the market now.
Sorry, everybody. The ring. Taya is my wife's wrestling name, and she is also going to be wrestling on January 6th at Homecoming, and she has a shot at the Impact Women's Championship against Tully's daughter, Tessa Blanchard.
Tessa Blanchard. She's made quite a, pardon the pun, impact.
Boom.
Actually, well, both ladies have.
Yeah.
So what's it like to be in the same wrestling company as the woman you're married to and to go up and down the road?
Awesome. I mean, she's my favorite human. so being around her is I'll be around her for as much time as I can get.
Yeah.
But I also really respect her wrestling ability and her wrestling psychology. So it's cool to be there and see what she's doing because I know how hard she trains and how hard she works.
Do you guys train together, bounce ideas off each other for
all the time?
Psychology, what to do in matches, that kind of thing?
All the time.
Yeah.
We a lot of times train separately because we just have different ideas of training. But sometimes we train together, and we definitely bounce wrestling ideas off each other all the time.
No, that's awesome.
And Tessa, by the way, if you're watching, you're in trouble because I've seen how hard Ty has been working for this Homecoming pay-per-view, and you had better bring your A game.
Well, I mean, I think it's just so cool that you know, Tessa Blanchard. You know, I love that second, third generation wrestlers to come on. I don't love it because it means I'm getting old, because I watched her old man wrestle back in the NWA. But to see her in the ring, I mean, that's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool, and it's also cool when Tully comes around too.
Yeah.
And I think with Tully's there at Homecoming and Tessa's there, it's just going to be that much more meaningful when Taya takes her to Slamtown.
All right, now.
Or Smashville.
Smashville, there you go. So Brian Cage will be your opponent. Who have been some of your toughest opponents, whether it's, you know, Lucha Libre, whether it's, you know, Lucha Underground, whether it's been WWE, Impact Wrestling?
Man,
who are some of the better guys you've faced in the ring?
Some of the two of my toughest opponents from Lucha Underground are also on the Impact roster, Pentagon and Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Those guys were there. I met them on the like 2 days before we started taping Lucha Underground a couple years back. I showed up to the arena with a buddy of mine that does stunts to try some flips, and those guys were also there, and they were doing the same thing. And we didn't talk too much because there was a little bit of a language barrier back then, but since then, like watching their rise is phenomenal. They're top guys in AAA and CMLL and Impact. So they're both going to be on the Homecoming pay-per-view on January 6th, and what they've built for themselves in that short time for me is phenomenal. Yeah, I defended the Impact Championship against Phoenix. Man, this is a month or two ago, and in one of, I think, the best matches I've ever had in my career. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should check that out on the Impact app, YouTube, or social media. Look it up. It's out there.
Yeah, it's out there. Yeah. It's out there. And just type in Johnny Impact.
Yeah.
And just see all of his highlights. All right, so in addition to wrestling, I know you're into a lot of other things, obviously fitness, but also some acting as well, right? I mean, you try to be a well-rounded performer, right?
Oh, actually, you'll get a kick out of this. So we talked about, I made the analogy to comparing Impact to an independent film that requires all hands on deck all the time, and because of that, like, producing the TV is fulfilling. The thing that I always think of when I talk about independent films is my movie, Boone the Bounty Hunter. Are you aware of this? Have you heard of this?
I did my research before this interview.
Rampage Jackson, hell of a movie on Netflix. Watch it now.
Check it out. Netflix and chill with your lady.
That was the point of that was I wanted to do something that incorporated my best skills. And so Boone, the action is a montage of traditional stunt choreo, MMA, pro wrestling, and parkour. And I've been in maybe 15 movies, and usually, like if I'm playing Hercules or Sinbad, it's sword play, and I like it, but it's not necessarily something that I'm great at because I haven't had a lot of practice fighting with swords. I have, however, had a lot of practice doing parkour and pro wrestling, which is why I think the action in Boone is so interesting. It's
got to be cool to see somebody like Dwayne Johnson make that transition
and open doors, man. Like, for
I was just going to say, from big time wrestling star, one of the biggest stars in the history of pro wrestling, and now he's the highest paid actor in Hollywood. That's got to be an inspiration for a guy like you.
It's an inspiration, and it feels like it's opening doors for like this current generation of professional wrestlers. And big fan of Dwayne. But I'd love to do a movie with him. Sure, he might be booked. I don't know if he's going to be president next year or 2 years from now, or if he's still going to be.
You know, the thing about it is, if he gets elected president, he's still going to do movies. You know, he's going to do about 6 movies a year.
I hope they'd be all like presidential action movies.
That's right.
Just like Commander in Chief.
Get off my plane,
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Hey, Putin. Or whatever.
Johnny Impact is here. We're going to take one more break, wrap it up, and talk more about the big pay-per-view coming up. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.